The first crash came at 6 in the morning, a sound like the world splitting open. I was 10, still in my pajamas, when the black SUV reversed at full speed and slammed into our ranch fence. Wood exploded across the yard in a storm of splinters that stung my bare arms like angry bees. Rusty, our golden retriever, barked himself hoarse, his whole body vibrating with protective fury. Grandpa Harold stumbled out in his robe, coffee sloshing over the rim of his mug and burning his hand, but he didn't flinch. The driver, a kid in a rented Navy uniform with a plastic badge that caught the light wrong, leaned out the window and shouted, "Citation for non-compliant barrier. Pay $2,000 by Friday, or we come back." Grandpa stood there, 72 years old, shoulders still broad from decades of engineering bridges for the state, but I saw the tremor in his fingers as he gripped the mug. His eyes, usually warm like sun-baked cedar, narrowed to slits of steel. "This fence has been here 50 years, son. Longer than you've been breathing. My great-granddaddy set these posts with his own hands after the war, tears in his eyes from the dust and the memory of buddies lost. You tell me which law says that's non-compliant." The kid's smirk faltered, but he recovered with a shrug that made my stomach twist. The SUV peeled out, leaving tire tracks in the dust and a hole big enough to drive a tractor through. That was day one, and the fear settled in my chest like a cold stone I couldn't cough up. By day 3, they came at midnight with flashlights and clipboards, measuring our gate like surveyors from hell. One of them, a skinny guy with a man bun and a fake mustache that curled like a cartoon villain, climbed the fence to plant a flag that read Pine Hollow HOA Expansion Zone. Grandpa met him at the top with a shotgun he never loaded, just racked the slide with a sound that cracked the night like thunder. The kid fell backward into a cactus, yelping, and I felt a hot rush of triumph mixed with terror. Day 7, an invoice fluttered over the wreckage. $1,500 for aesthetic violations, plus a late fee that made Grandpa's jaw clench so hard I heard it pop. Day 10, they cut our mailbox in half with bolt cutters and left it on the porch like a warning, spray-painted "comply" or else in dripping red that looked like blood in the porch light. I started filming everything on my phone, a secret folder labeled proof that grew heavier each night, my hands shaking so badly the first videos were blurry. Grandpa didn't sleep much after that. He'd sit at the kitchen table with his old laptop, AutoCAD open, sketching something that looked like fortress plans. His shoulders still ached from Vietnam, a dull throb that made him wince when he reached for his coffee, but his eyes burned with the kind of focus ID only seen when he fixed the barn roof in a thunderstorm, lightning cracking while he hammered nails like a man possessed, sweat mixing with rain on his weathered face. "They're testing us," he said, voice low and gravelly, "seeing how far they'll have to push before we break. Like stress testing a bridge before they load it with tanks." His words sent a shiver down my spine, not of cold, but of the weight of what was coming. The woman behind it all was Margaret Langley, president of the Pine Hollow Homeowners Association 10 miles away in a gated suburb of McMansions and matching SUVs. She wore pink blazers and a smile sharp enough to cut glass, but her eyes were dead, like a shark's. Her son, Bradley, drove the lead vehicle, a trust fund prince with a man bun and a smirk that said rules were for other people, his laughter loud and cruel when they smashed things. Margaret called it the Greater Pine Hollow Expansion. The county called it fraud. She had never filed a single paper, never held a vote, never asked permission. She just decided our ranch was next, and the greed in her voice when she spoke of it made my skin crawl. Day 14, she sent a letter on Golden Boss Stationery, final notice. Remove unauthorized structures or face enhanced enforcement. Grandpa read it aloud at dinner, voice steady but his hand trembling slightly as he held the paper. Enhanced. He repeated, "That's lawyer talk for we're coming harder." He folded the letter into a paper airplane and sailed it into the fireplace, watching it burn with eyes that reflected the flames like he was seeing something else, something from long ago. "Let them come," he said, but I heard the crack in his voice, the fear he buried under decades of grit. Day 15, they came at dusk. No warning, no citations. Just 3 SUVs in formation, engines revving like war drums that made my heart pound so hard I thought it would burst. I was doing homework by the fence, geometry problems about angles and force, when the ground shook. Grandpa saw it first. "Emily, move." He dove, shoving me clear as the lead vehicle hit 40 miles an hour. The impact lifted the SUV off its front wheels. Wood became shrapnel. A 4x4 beam punched through the air where my head had been and buried itself in the barn wall with a thud that echoed in my bones. Grandpa took the hit on his good shoulder, the crack of bone loud as a gunshot. Blood soaked his shirt instantly, dark and spreading like ink on paper. He didn't scream, just grunted, "Emily, you okay?" His voice was ragged, pain etching lines deeper into his face, but his eyes locked on mine, fierce with love and terror. I nodded, tears blurring everything, my throat raw from screaming I didn't remember starting. Rusty barked from the porch, frantic, his whole body shaking with the need to protect us. Margaret stepped out in her pink suit, heels clicking through the debris like she was walking a runway. "Next time," she said, "it won't be the fence." Her voice carried that syrupy cruelty of someone who enjoyed watching people bleed, her smile wide and white and wrong. "Pay $5,000 by Monday, or we finish the job." Grandpa, on his knees, looked up through the pain, blood dripping from his fingers. "Lady, you just assaulted a child. And you did it on camera." His words were weak but sharp, each one a dagger aimed at her heart. She laughed, high and brittle, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the first crack in her armor. Cameras don't scare me. I own the narrative. The SUVs reversed for another run, engines growling like beasts. That's when the neighbors arrived, 20 trucks strong, headlights blazing like a wall of fire. Bill Thompson, our contractor friend, blocked the drive with his F-350, engine idling like a challenge. Behind him, retirees, farmers, off-duty cops, all armed with phones and fury. Someone had a shotgun across his lap. Another held a cattle prod. The air filled with the smell of diesel and dust and righteous anger. Margaret hesitated. The spell broke. Her drivers shifted into reverse, but the road was blocked. Sirens wailed, real ones, cutting through the chaos like a lifeline. Sheriff Laura Chun rolled up with 3 cruisers, lights flashing red and blue across the wreckage. She took one look at Grandpa's blood, the destroyed fence, my tear-streaked face, and her face hardened into something fierce. Margaret Langley, you're under arrest. The cuffs clicked. Bradley tried to run, slipped in the mud, and face-planted into a pile of splinters, his yelp high and pathetic. Laura read them their rights while deputies cataloged the damage. I filmed every second, live-streaming to the neighborhood group chat, my hands shaking so badly the camera wobbled. The video hit 10,000 views before the sun set, comments flooding in with shock and support. The investigation moved like a freight train. Margaret's fake HOA had scammed 312 seniors across 3 counties, raking in $400,000 in fees, forcing 19 below-market sales. Her expansion was pure fiction, her badges Amazon knockoffs, her authority a delusion wrapped in pink polyester. The DA played my videos in open court, the jury gasping when Grandpa took the stand, shoulder in a sling, voice steady as bedrock, but his eyes wet with the memory of pain. Day 1, he said, they came at dawn with lies. Day 15, they tried to kill my granddaughter with a 2-ton weapon. His voice cracked on granddaughter, and I felt it in my chest, the love and fear and fury all tangled together. Margaret interrupted, Your Honor, this is persecution. I was protecting property values. My son needs a future. The judge, Clara Ruiz, leaned forward. Mrs. Langley, you sent men with guns to a child's home. You vandalized a veteran's property. You lied to emergency services. That's not protection. That's terrorism. Your future ends here. The verdict was swift. Guilty on all counts. Racketeering, assault, fraud. 12 years, no parole. Bradley got 3, plus restitution. The judge ordered every stolen dollar returned, every fake document burned, every victim compensated. Margaret collapsed, sobbing, her pink suit crumpled like her empire. Bradley was dragged out, cursing, his man bun coming undone. Outside, neighbors waited with casseroles, tools, seedlings. Someone fixed my mailbox. Kids planted new roses along the fence, their small hands gentle in the dirt. The county renamed the access road Callahan Way. I stood on the courthouse steps with Laura, coffee in hand, the weight of it all lifting like fog in the morning sun. You won, she said. No, I said. The law did. And the people who stood with us. That night, the valley glowed under a full moon. I sat on the porch, rusty at my feet, roses blooming defiant. The wind carried no threats, only the scent of earth and home. Margaret's empire was dust. My ranch stood firm. The earth doesn't forget. Neither does justice. What do you think? Was Grandpa right to build the steel fence and let physics do the work? Or should he have called the authorities sooner to avoid the violence? Ever faced a bully who thought money could buy the truth? Drop your story in the comments. Where do you draw the line between self-defense and escalation? We read every one.